Welcome to the Age is Irrelevant podcast with your host, Helen Fritsch. Helen is a 60-plus, lifelong competitive athlete, flight attendant, published fitness model, writer, IFBB bodybuilding pro, and certified wine specialist who believes that your age is irrelevant to pursue goals, dreams, and desires. Are you a woman in her 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond who still has a burning desire to pursue a dream or a passion? Are you thinking about starting a new chapter in your life, but you're hesitant, thinking that you might be too old or just don't know where to begin? The Age is Irrelevant podcast is a podcast devoted to women who want to defy the odds, smash barriers, and redefine happiness and success after 40. It's time to make a difference. There is no need to dread blowing out that added birthday candle every year. A new movement is slowly taking momentum, where being over the hill just isn't relevant anymore. Age labels are being thrown out the window, and women are rediscovering the strength within themselves to make a difference, not only within their own lives, but also touching and inspiring the lives of other women. Join Helen as she and her guests discuss all aspects of aging after 40 and how to make the aging process and those twilight years more rewarding, exciting, and fun.
So welcome to today's episode where we dive deep into the vibrant world of vitality, intimacy, and empowered aging with none other than Susan Bratton, a 63-year-old trailblazer who's redefining what it means to be sexy, healthy, and thriving later in life. Now, she's just not a biohacker. She's a longevity innovator, a sexual regenerative therapy pioneer, and an elite experimenter in high-performance aging. At 63, she's stronger, sharper, and more vibrant than most people half her age. And I know, listeners, that you can't see anything, but I'm looking at her going, OMG. I mean, she looks amazing. She's walking proof, literally, that the right longevity strategies just don't add years to your life. They add life to your years. Susan brings a bold, science-backed approach to optimizing not only your sexual health, but your overall vitality with decades of experience and a mission to help people reclaim their pleasure and passion. She's become a guiding light for millions of women navigating midlife and beyond. Welcome, Susan, to the show. I've been so excited about this interview.
Geez, Helen, that was the most beautiful intro I think that anybody has ever written
Really?
for a show. And I've been on 1,000 shows.
Oh,
And you wrote that so beautifully. And in all honesty, what you captured was where I'm going, not just who I've been. And man, do I feel completely seen by you in a way that I almost wasn't able to put into my own words. You nailed how I have been trying to express who I am and where I'm going in the most lovely and exciting and kind way. So thank you so much. That was it's not just a gift to be here with you. I've been looking forward to that. It was a gift to hear what you wrote. Thank you. I'm touched.
well, and that's exactly how I see you. And so for my listeners too, I want to explain how I met Susan. I attended I want to say fitness biohacking conference about 3 weeks ago in Vegas, headed by Shailene Johnson. We all love Shailene. She's been around forever. She had a powerhouse lineup of speakers, learned a ton of stuff. Everybody was amazing. But when Susan Bratton took to the stage, I have never, ever seen in my entire life of conferences and seminars, seen 1,000 women literally jumping out of their seats, screaming, yelling, clapping. I want one. I want this. Let me have that. I mean, Susan came out and just nailed it as far as vitality, passion, and talking about sex in a way that was so comfortable because I think growing up, especially in our age, it's a kind of more of a shameful thing that you just don't talk about sex. And you just put it out there and everybody was like so at ease. And then when you had your two tables of giveaways, oh, oh my God, it was, I'm sure you being up on that stage, you were howling with laughter too. I was just, this is like the best thing. I took some like videos of it thinking, this is unbelievable. And even all the speakers in the back, they were like going back there and everybody was on their seats watching you, taking notes. It was great. So thrilled to have you on the show. Thank you again.
Well, that is a testament to Chalene Johnson and the people that she attracts who are, and I don't know if you remember this, but when I walked out on the stage, I said, look around the room. It's 20% emptier than it was this morning. There, 20% of the people who are at this show decided this was the session that they needed to take a break from because they've given up on their sexuality. They don't think they have more to learn. They don't want to pursue it. And I said, that's fair. I respect that 100%. And I'm here to talk to you who are in the audience because you want more. Let's get you some. It was just like, it's very clear. And that happens to me a lot. And so that shameful thing, it really is a shame. It's a shame that people get saddled with a fear or even a misunderstanding. Here's what happens is the censorship and the repression of sexual knowledge leads to fear because when you don't understand something, you are afraid of it. And so what I know that it is fear. And I hold those people who are not in the room in my heart because I feel like they got the raw end of the deal on their sexuality because our sexual vitality fuels us, it gives us energy, it keeps us looking younger. Having great sex till the day we die gives us a longer, healthier, happier life than those who have, for one reason or another, to forfeit it. And so I hold them in my heart as I lean into the people who are hell yes, because that's who I can help. And you can only save the people who want to have the help. And it was the most energetically positive audience. And I've spoken on over 100 stages. And it's the best audience that I've ever presented to because they had this incredible energy. And yeah, it was because they wanted to see the sex toys, but I think it was really because they got that early on in the talk. I explained to them about how our orgasmic potential, we can grow into it, that it's since everything we need is in there, we can just learn how to do it all. Everything is learnable. We can do orgasmic activation, orgasmic cross training. We can use pleasuring tools, and our anatomy works well when we have lots of orgasms. It's super healthy, immune function, neurotransmitters. There's like so many physical, biological, and emotional benefits to it. And so I think once women start realizing, oh, you mean these sex toys aren't just, crutches. They're actually things that activate the neural pathways to my biggest sex organ, my brain. And there's different ones, and I need to own the whole different kind of toy opportunity. And then I start giving them away, and they're like, well, I want them all. I need to have all of these. And so many women said to me, I have already texted my husband my selections. By the way, for your listeners who are like, well, what were the toys? I put them all at drivedesire.com. There's estrogen lotions, there's there's sex techniques. They're all free at drivedesire.com. So you can just go there and get the things that I was talking about at Shalene's Can't Be More show. But so many women said to me, I've already placed orders. I told my husband what I wanted. I told him, get ready. I'm coming home. Be ready for me. I want a yoni massage. Women were like, I want a yoni massage. And the husbands are all like, my wife needs a yoni massage. What is that? And how do I do it? This is what I'm hearing now. This is like the year of the yoni massage. I do this sex trends every year. I go on like 3 big sex podcasts and I do my sex trends predictions. 2025, the number one sex trend of the year is yoni massage. So they're proving me out.
Well, if we're talking about then, let's just dive right in and tell our listeners what a yoni massage is.
Yeah. So yoni, Y-O-N-I, is a tantric lovemaking word for the female genital system. We think about vagina, but that's just the internal cavern. We think about vulva, but that's just the external face. And if we go to the trouble of saying your clitoral, urethral, and perineal erectile tissue, that's too nerdy. And so I really like the word yoni because it means portal in Sanskrit. And
Oh.
it's definitely a portal to connection to ourselves, connection to other, connection to source and Gaia or consciousness. It's a connection to pleasure. It's a connection to longevity. It's a good word for our genital structures. And one of the things that I also like about it is that it's not just the physical or emotional. It also includes the spiritual connection. And I just like that it's such a well-rounded little four-letter word. And then if you want to know what the male penis, testicles, prostate, urethral, package is called in Sanskrit, it's lingam, which I also think sounds kind of like a magical staff, which it is. And so yoni massage is simply the notion that you get to have all of your lady parts delicately, lovingly massaged with warm intimacy oil under your partner's capable, loving hands to bring blood flow into the tissue in a leisurely, languid, sensual, nurturing, healing way that is not rushing us to intercourse, but is the, sensual approach to dropping in, getting out of our minds, getting into our bodies, getting our hearts connected, lowering our heart rate, softening our breathing, being together in a beautiful place with no rush. And it brings blood flow into all the erectile tissue. And we have as much erectile tissue as our male-bodied partners, but it's buried in these nooks and crannies. They take a little time, like 10 to 20 minutes to start to get the blood really flowing in there. And for us to really get out of our busy multitasking minds and into our beautiful sensual bodies. And so I think the yoni massage is kind of like almost a pre-foreplay, like the soulmate embrace where you hold each other and then you move into a yoni massage, gives you a chance to get off things off your chest, to talk to your partner, to connect, and then to just relax into that, just being in sensation together.
Hmm.
Extremely nervous system rebooting. And then when you prime that little lady pump with a couple of great orgasms before you do anything else, and then you move into maybe kissing, pleasuring your man's lingam while he's pleasuring your beautiful breasts, and you learn to love your breasts and they become orgasmic because you begin to love them and allow yourself to feel the pleasure they provide. And then you can move into other things, oral intercourse, using other toys, things like that. It just it just slows our frickin' roll. And it puts a priority on our pleasure. And it allows us women to catch up with our very fast arousal men.
Hmm.
And it takes the emphasis off of intercourse because sex is so much more. So for so many reasons, I love helping people understand why yoni massage is a massively powerful relationship and intimacy booster. And when we're in a partnership with a man and or a woman, but really, with any partner, but generally men they rush us women because they're ready to go and they just don't understand. They don't live in our bodies. It's not their fault. They don't see the modeling for this. We're in it together. And when they allow us the time to get fully engorged and all our genitals are plumped up from the engorgement and we have our lady boner, then everything feels better. We achieve our orgasms more effortlessly. We are able to have more orgasms. We're able to have more intense orgasms. We're able to have orgasms of different kinds. And this is where all of that growth comes from in learning how to be heart connected in sensation and not rush so that we can really feel how good it can feel.
Right, right. And you made a comment. I've listened to some of your other podcasts that there are 20 different kinds of orgasms.
Yeah, there's 20 plus. The 20th one is wild card. I keep discovering more kinds of orgasms. Yeah, but there's three basic categories. The first is locations to touch, your clitoris, your nipples, your G spot, things like that. Coregasms, footgasms, throatgasms. There's a lot of gasms out there. We have a lot of erogenous zones in our body. And really any part of our body could be erogenous to us. We have a wide, span of what is pleasure in the world of the Homo sapien. But I think that it's locations to touch, but then techniques to use, like having an expanded orgasm practice, hypnotic orgasms. I have a girl friend who she's in her late 30s and she's really always chased orgasm. It's been elusive to her. She can feel a little something coming, but she can't quite get over. And I really appreciate her because she tries different things to see what it's going to take for her to finally have an orgasm. She's doggedly pursuing it. And that's what it takes for some people. And she recently had an erotic hypnosis Zoom call with a guy who gave her the audio download to listen to. And she's been listening to it. And she's like, I feel like I'm getting closer. Like he's telling me to orgasm on command. I'm listening to the audio, and I think I can do it. So techniques are very, very helpful. And then objects of desire, these orgasmic cross-training tools that I was talking about, whether it's the vulva massager or it's a thruster or a rabbit or an air stimulator or a G-spot toy or a combination or vibrating. I have this new nipple vibrator. It's
Hmm.
at Drive Desire. Don't worry, you'll find it there. People hate it when I talk about stuff and don't tell them where to go or what it is. So I always have links for my current favorite things. I'm like the Martha Stewart of pleasure tools, right? I've always got my favorite things, and they change because the sex technology is very quickly evolving. But these little nipple clamps, they're called Gemini. They attach to your nipples with these little clamps. They're not hard. You can adjust them. And then you wear this necklace and it has this little vibrator hanging around on the necklace, and it has the little button, one button, thank God. You press the button and the nipple vibrator goes up and then it goes into little patterns, and you can pleasure your breasts while you're pleasuring your yoni, and you get amplitude of pleasure. So there's lots of ways to layer and stack pleasure once you start getting multiple paths going.
Right, right. So my audience is mainly 50 plus, and I feel
Yes.
like 50 is a big crossroad
Yeah.
because we're going through all types of hormonal issues.
Yeah.
We're becoming empty nesters.
Absolutely.
Relationship, we may be in a 30-year marriage and now we're just kind of stagnant and in a rut. Or we may be getting divorced now and now all of a sudden we find ourselves single again after 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of women just have negative impact on themselves when it comes to body image and
Yep.
sexual confidence after 50.
Yeah.
How can we work through that?
Yeah. So it is interesting. It's a big shift era, the 50s. In your 40s, many women they start to have their first orgasms. Have, they start to fight for their sexuality. In your 20s, you're kind of learning, it's all new. Your 30s, you're often very busy with kids if you've had them in your career. By the time you're in your 40s, you're like, okay, wait, let's not let this go. Except for those 20% of the people who are going to leave the room, and like we just cannot help them. They don't want to do it. That's cool. I respect that. So in our 50s, the women who are out dating, I have conversations with them about safe sex testing and how to screen partners so that they keep themselves safe from having any long-term downstream effects from STI. And the condom is security theater, so there are better ways to do it. If you go to fullpaneltest.com, there's an ebook there that I wrote that explains how to test, what to test, how to talk about it, all that stuff. That's super helpful. And so that's really good. Getting out, getting new partners, trying new things. I have a girlfriend right now who she said last summer when my kids went off to their camp, I effed a new guy every single day. Actually, she said, I take that back. It was 5 out of 7 days. She had just gotten divorced like a little over 2 years before that. And she was just like, she had gone on what's the GLP-1 called? Te the Terrazide, I think it's called, or terpazine or whatever, the GLP-1. She got on that. She lost a lot of weight. She was feeling really good about herself. She was like, let's go. Mommy wants to have some fun. And so she had all these different partners, 5 different partners in that week. Her kids were going to camp, and it was really fun for her. And she's been on the apps, and she's been dating, and she tells me the stories of the dates, and like, she had this one guy, he was this Croatian guy, and he talked dirty to her, and she tells me the stories about how he talks dirty to her in his Croatian accent. And I mean, she's having the time of her life. I love listening to her stories so much. Then I have other couples who, like me, who've been married 35 years. I'll be 34 years this year. And we know we ebb and we flow through our relationships. And sometimes they just are irking the crap out of us. And other times we're totally in love with them again. And that's what relationships are going to be like in the long term. And you can find your way back to sexual renaissances multiple times in a long-term relationship, because if a couple is willing to learn new things together, which is why I created 48 erotic playdates you can consider and build your sex life bucket list. So if you guys have a bucket list together and you're just trying stuff, you're like kids again. So it's never too late to teach that old dog some new tricks like a yoni massage and things like that. So there's that. And then I think the really big cruxy thing for a lot of women is, ow, my yoni hurts. Oh my God, it's so dry. I'm not lubricating. I'm having trouble, feeling my orgasms. They feel like little sneezes now instead of volcanic explosions. What do I do? My labia is shrinking. Good God Almighty! My pubes are gray. Like all this stuff. About a month ago, and my husband has always liked me to have kind of a well-trimmed lady parts, and I do it for him. I don't care either way. I'm flexible, so if he likes it, I'll do it. It's like either way is fine with me. And about 2 months ago, I made a proclamation, and I was like, baby, I'm not going to be as closely shaved as I used to be in the past. I have decided that I have so much gray hair now, and I am not going to worry about it anymore. I am going to have a little soft fur covering of gray, and we're all going to like it. And he goes, okay, babes, no worries. That sounds good. That's fine, baby. That's fine. I had to make my gray pube proclamation. Like, I'm just not shaving this shit like I used to. I'm just not going to do it anymore, baby. So the thing that those women need is the whole sexual regenerative stack. Okay. And the stack is so simple. Start taking a nitric oxide booster. I like Flow because it's made from foods. Get an estrogen vaginal serum. If you can't get one from your doctor, or you don't want to, and you just want to buy one, I like my friend Dr. Michelle Sands Glow Below. It's at the Drive Desire page. Then you want to start using sex toys, and you want to use them with lube. And the lubes that I like are either my Pleasure Protocol with Foria. It's at pleasureprotocol.com. It has CBD in it, which works on our endocannabinoid system, which is our pleasure healing pathway. And they make these little things called melts. And the melt is like a little insert that you put of cocoa butter, jojoba oil, and CBD. And you put that up in the vaginal cavern. It melts up in there, and it makes it all emollient. So you're not trying to get lube up inside you. You can just use the lube on the outside of you. So that was one of the most popular things that people asked me about at the conference, by the way, were the melts. That was like, oh, that's a damn good idea. And what's nice is that the cocoa butter has oleic acid in it, which is what your good vaginal bacteria like to eat. So you're feeding a good vag biome with the estrogen and the inserts. It's like a perfect combination. So I love that. And then if you feel like you're starting to get incontinent, or you're having diminished orgasm, sensation loss, clitoral retraction, clitoral atrophy, labial atrophy, I recommend going to get Gainswave treatments. Gainswave for her is an acoustic wave technology that is applied externally to the entire yoni. And then you do treatments of 6. And use promo code BETTER for a seventh treatment free. They made that for me because I talk about them all the time. And I don't get money when you buy Gainswave. So I just want people to know about it. And the acoustic wave stimulates new tissue growth, including in your clitoris and your labia. It's not like a vaginal RF device that was invented by a man just to fix the thing he cares about. It was acoustic wave for whole yoni rejuvenation. And I really like that. And then you can I always like to do like what's budget? I don't have much money. What's mid-range? What's ultra luxury? And ultra luxury is PRP, exosomes, stem cells injected with lidocaine and numbing cream into that tissue to stimulate even more tissue growth so that we have a meaty clitoris and we have nice, rich labia and we have a lot more sensation because the more physical robustness and size you have to all that genital tissue, the more the more sensations of pleasure it conducts to the brain to register as pleasure. So when it shrinks, it's hard to come. When it's plump, full of blood and really healthy tissue, it comes really well.
You said a mouthful there, and I agree with everything that you. But it's kind of funny though, because I think a lot of women in their 50s and even 60s too, that we've got that psychological block.
Mm.
And we talked about this, earlier, as far as, growing up, it was not something that was freely talked about. You wouldn't be going to a conference and listening to someone, speak that freely about sex or about intimacy. And so what are some of the things that we can do as women over 50 to help us get over that? I don't want to use the word shame, but that psychological block or get that around that emotional intimacy that we're really craving,
Mhm.
but we don't really know. We're in this position now where we're stuck and we're thinking, okay, well, how can I, get past this to, improve my sexual vitality?
Yeah. A lot of times it's that we don't have the words for things, and it helps to get a vocabulary. So there's a couple of resources I'd recommend. One is I wrote a little book called Sexual Soulmates, The Six Essentials for Connected Sex. And I've spent decades as almost like an advice columnist, but what I have is a newsletter. I have a newsletter called Better Lover, and I have over 300,000 readers on my newsletter. So I have a big newsletter that goes to a lot of people. And many of the people that have been on there for a decade, they get on and they just stay on because I'm constantly churning out hot sex techniques and bedroom communication skills and intimate wellness and things like that. And so just starting to read things like that and learn about techniques and communication skills and pleasure tools and stuff like that, then you begin to go, oh, okay, this is interesting. Wow, yoni massage, hadn't heard of it. Like to try it. All right. Oh, you've got videos on it for free at your website. Okay, let's watch those together. And oh, this is the toy that you recommend for doing it. Well, let's get it. And so you start to begin to zero in on something that feels right to you. It's very intuitive, and it should be intuitive. Your body knows what you're in need of. It's kind of like when you have a salt craving. So, yeah, but you're going to be licking a different thing. So just immersing yourself in it and seeing what intrigues you and following that path, because the path it's basically asymptotic. You never get to the end of the path. There is no end to the path of pleasure. It goes on until the day you die if you are on that journey. And as you begin to learn one thing, then you find something else that's interesting. Then you find something else that's interesting. So it's kind of like the how to eat an elephant. You just start with a bite, you'll find what looks tasty. So that's what I would recommend. And the Sexual Soulmates book, you can buy it at Amazon, but don't bother. Just download the copy for free at sexualsoulmatesbook.com. and use the PDF. And that gives you the 6 foundations of the things that I tell people and have the advice that I have given to people for 2 decades when they email me. What do I do about this? What do I do about that? What do I do about this? How do I do this? I need to know this. Where do I start? All that stuff. And I say, start here because it'll give you the fundamentals, the platform, the solid base upon which to pursue your pleasure. Because the kinds of things that are in the soulmate and read it with your partner if you're lucky enough to have one, you're always training them either implicitly or explicitly. So you can explicitly train them by saying, please read this PDF, or you can implicitly train them to not be a pleasure partner with you by never talking to them about your sex life. That's really that's kind of what happens to most people. So the setting the lover space, the being able to ask your partner for anything you need because you need something different in every lovemaking date, having them love you to tell them what you want and having them not take it as failure, but feedback instead that empowers them to do an incredible job being your lover. Um, the dance of polarity, beginning to understand how to be both a giver and a receiver, and then to effortlessly flow into kind of the switchy state where it doesn't matter because you've gained confidence. First, you've learned how to receive, but then as you've learned how to receive and gotten more confidence in your own body's abilities to be sexually pleasured, you can begin to be a giver who really loves to take charge of things. So playing with polarity is a really nice one. So there's 6 in there, the 6 essentials. And I think those are the ones where you're like, okay, if I'm going to study the craft of being a hot lover, what's the foundation work I need to understand? That's what the Sexual Soulmates book is.
That's awesome. And I think this would also be a great resource for like long-term couples to like reignite that passion
Oh, for sure.
intimacy after years of stagnation or routine, more even routine, I think. I
Well,
think,
we get one pathway and we're like, that works, let's keep doing it. And that's fun. But the thing about hot sex, which is what I do, I write passionate lovemaking techniques. Some people write erotica, some people do trauma healing. We all have our gifts. Mine is I'm really good at having hot sex and telling you the steps to do it too, because my body works the way our bodies have an operating system. And if we know how the operating system works, we can do the steps that elicit the response. So I think that is when couples are learning new things, having erotic play dates. It really helps them when they begin to learn new things together because sex is a combination of safety and security.
mhm.
That you have to be able to relax with your partner and feel safe with novelty and variety. And when you combine the novelty and variety with the trust and safety, you can get a lot of fun done.
Yeah, I love that. The safety and security and novelty and variety. Yes, that's amazing. Um, what about advice that you have to single women over 50 who are
Yeah.
re-entering the dating and sexual scene?
Well, men are slavish dogs for us. They're addicted to yoni. They'll do anything you want, and they're dumbasses. So I love them. They're simple. They're simpler than you think, and they aim to please. So instead of looking for the new perfect guy that completes you and checks off all of the things on your list, have safe sex experiences with a number of lovers, whatever that number is for you. It could be 6 or 7, it could be 67. Different strokes, right, Helen? But have experiences and be comfortable around your boundaries, your desires, and your non-negotiables. And 99% of men can follow those experiences and make sure that they're a values match for you. I mean, if you're a staunch Christian nationalist Republican, you're probably not going to want to date a woke DEI, LGBT, LGBTQIA plus, um, protester, right? You gotta find the right people. It's important to have a values match, and it's important to have trust, safety. And then if you have that, you can also add on variety and you can have fun experiences. So making sure you feel sovereign and you know your boundaries and you can ask for them and you're careful and you double check and you don't get yourself into dangerous situations. You can navigate the world of pleasure experiences with a lot of fun. There are wonderful men out there, and they deserve the opportunity to play with us, have a good time with us, and serve the goddess.
Mhm. It's all about serving the goddess, that's for sure. Um, let's take a little turn on physical health and sexual wellness because I know you're a big biohacker. And so, nutrition, exercise, I mean, they really do have a measurable impact, I think, personally, on your sexual performance and desire.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I think one of the things I've been talking about recently is something I call the fourth factor. A lot of a lot of biohackers are out there talking about, the three big things, sleep, nutrition, and exercise. So, mitochondrial health, muscle, and mindset. That would be Peter Attia. And all of those things are so important, but the fourth factor is your sex span. And your sex span is very, very vital to good health. People who have more sex for longer periods of time in their life live a longer, healthier, happier life. They look visibly, visually younger, and they end up having a better life experience. Orgasms specifically, and the reason I focus on orgasms is that we can all have them. Some of us, like my girlfriend I was telling you about, who's working on the erotic hypnosis pathway, there's likely some trauma in there from some things that have happened, and this might be the pathway that unlocks things for her. We have different pathways, but we can all use all the Helen, you could do erotic hypnosis and have orgasms. I could do erotic hypnosis and have orgasms. And so when sexperts come on shows and say, hey, don't worry about the orgasms, don't put the pressure on yourself, just be close to your partner. I'm like, bullpucky. Just learn how. Literally, I have a thing that is, it's called Come With Me, the 20 Kinds of Orgasms, and it's on my blog, it's on my website, Personal Life Media. And I literally tell you how to have every one of them step by step. It's kind of like I'm a cookbook author and I write the recipes, but the recipes are just orgasms instead of stews. And the good news is that just like baking a stew, the first time you make it, it's okay. But the 10th time you make it, that stew is mighty fine and your family wants it in rotation. So it's this idea of releasing your neurotransmitters, releasing your hormones, increasing your oxytocin, lowering your cortisol, rebooting your nervous system. The 9 of the 12 hallmarks of longevity inside spermidine, spermine, and putrescine, which are in semen. That's why the Taoists retained their semen for longevity because it had longevity um, aminos in it. And what else does it do? It releases NK cells, natural killer cells, which are the cells that eat your senescent or broken or cancerous or precancerous cells and dispose of them so that your cell bag, the fixed pie of your body bag of cells, your 72 trillion cells, they get broken and damaged. You need to clean them out. You need to do autophagy. So orgasms improve autophagy. So yeah, do a 5-day fast, do some fasting mimicking diets, do some cold plunges, do some saunas, do some orgasms.
Um, and sleep and stress management.
Yeah. Right. You sleep
That's
really, really well when you have an orgasm before bed, and you have a really, really good day when you get up and have an orgasm.
right, right. Oh, that's so funny. That's really funny. What are some of the red flags women should watch for that indicate a deeper health issue affecting their sex life? What do you think?
Oh man, anything that is bothering you, go to a doctor and talk to them about it because there's no sense of suffering with anything. An episiotomy scar that bothers you, very, very dry vagina, frequent urinary tract infections, incontinence, fistulas, labial laxity, loss of sensation, inability to orgasm. I mean, there's just so many vaginismus, vulvodynia, pelvic floor pain. There are a lot of things that can go wrong, but they are almost all, if not every one, lichen sclerosis. They are almost all, if not every one, is either manageable or completely reversible.
That's that's amazing. And a lot of women probably don't even realize that. And that's what's kind of sad. Um, you're known for being one of the world's leading sexual biohackers, but you live and breathe biohacking across your everyday life. So, what are some of the key pillars that you do in your personal biohacking strategy?
Yeah. I have been I harvested my stem cells and I've been doing stem cell IVs and spot injections of stem cells, of my own endogenous cells that I have cultured and grown out. I work with Dr. Jeff at Recelebrate. He'd be a good guy for you to have on the show. Let me know if you want an introduction. He's charming and brilliant and kind. Real good with sexual regenerative therapies, exosomes, and things like that as well. So I do that, and that's advanced, but it has really helped me. I had terrible long haul COVID. I caught the novel virus before there were vaccinations, and I was down for a few years recovering from that. And that's cured and reversed. I shouldn't say the word cure because I don't want anybody to get in trouble, but that has reversed a lot of the damage that I sustained from that particular virus. It was quite hard on me. And then I would say I do a fair amount of supplementation, and most of the things that I do are pretty basic. Like I take a lot of fish oils, EPA, DHA. Oh no, I really try and keep my essential fatty acid profile pristinely high. I do a fair amount of blood testing. I'm always watching my blood test numbers. I'm going in tomorrow for a coronary calcium scan just to check on my heart at 63. I'm awaiting the test results for my hormone tests, which I took about a week and a half ago. I don't know what the hell's taking them so long. Because I don't my testosterone's low, and I've been doing testosterone replacement therapy along with my biased estrogens, estriol and estradiol, plus progesterone. And my T is low and I feel it and I want more. And so we just tested for that. So I do bioidentical hormone replacement. I make my own yogurt and nut milk. I drink smoothies because I work out almost every day. And I work out with a trainer because I am a lazy bitch. And I just like cannot motivate to do stuff if I don't have an appointment and it's going to cost me money. And so we all have our coping mechanisms. I mean, Helen, you're like a natural born, beautiful workout specimen, not me. I need the pain of the money that I'm going to lose if I don't show up at the gym to do. But I love to work out. Like as soon as I get there and go, I'm like happy. So I do a lot of heavy weightlifting. I'm trying to lift my body weight, which is 160, because I'm quite muscly. Like I'm squeezing my muscles in the camera for you, and it's hard. It's all big and hard. So I like muscle. I'm trying to slab my muscle on in my 60s to carry me through,
Oh, that's
so I'm
good.
really focused on that.
I mean, muscle is the key to longevity. You see it all the
It
time
is.
now, but I don't know anybody who wants to end up in a wheelchair or a walker or using a cane or, hunched over. So
Hell no.
I,
I know. I like the functional work. I do a lot of functional get up off the floor kind of stuff.
well, we don't even
And
realize that stuff, right? I mean, getting in and
yeah,
out of the car. I mean, even grip strength, opening the
yes.
jar,
Yeah.
turning a doorknob handle, taking off your pill cap, the
Yeah.
cap off the top of a prescription. Simple things that we take for granted. But for me, being a flight attendant, and I see a lot of old people, come on the plane and they break out their gallon baggies with 10 different medications inside,
Yeah.
and just it's so sad. It's like, oh my gosh, no, that just gives me incentive just to keep doing what I'm doing. uh,
Yes.
Talk to me about your diet, some of your favorite things that you like to eat.
Yeah. Well, I have a morning smoothie, so I can shove it full of my collagens and my protein powders and my amino acids and my hyaluronic acid and my colostrum and my just so long. But I make my own yogurt and I make it out of Lactobacillus reuteri and I culture it myself at home and it keeps for weeks in the fridge. And Lactobacillus reuteri is the bacteria that is in your gut that is very delicate that gets killed off if you take antibiotics. And so most people are super low if they have any. And so they're not producing a lot of oxytocin. And oxytocin, we know about it from like nursing your baby or skin to skin contact of your partner or things like that. But if you're a low oxytocin producer, you're not getting much. And oxytocin is kind of like the antidote to cortisol. So the more oxytocin you have, the more it lowers your cortisol. It evens that out. It's a modulator. It does a lot of things. It also whittles your waist. So if you feel like you're kind of like as we age, as we get into middle age and our waists kind of grow out, the oxytocin, the Lactobacillus reuteri nips the waist back in. It's miraculous. It does insulin regulation. It's really good for that. It is helpful with estrogen. It's helpful with lubrication of the vagina. It is also it makes you less annoyed by people, and that alone is it's worth taking it for. And it also helps you find awe in things again, awe in art, nature, um, music, dance, people, all these things. And we need that because when we hit our 50s and 60s, we go into our wisdom era. And so all of the things we've learned have gelled. And we have the opportunity to start giving back to those coming up behind us. And we have the opportunity to be in awe of the beauty of life. But if we're low in oxytocin, we can't. So I make my own yogurt and I make my own nut milks for my smoothie as well with an almond milk. Yeah, almond cow nut milk maker. And I really like making that because I can throw in some macadamia nuts. Again, oleic acid is in that, which is super heart protective, neuroprotective, helps with estrogen, all that stuff. So I really like that. And then I cook at home. So, I eat eggs quite a few times a week. I focus on my protein. And I'm a kind of an old school home cook where I make things like pork chops and a baked sweet potato and some string beans, or I bake chicken thighs on some onions and leeks and I serve it with green beans and or broccoli and some rice or whatever. It's like pretty simple. I'm not afraid of carbs because I work out. I need some carbs personally. And but they're clean carbs. I don't eat any wheat. I'm gluten intolerant. It makes it easy for me. I just can't eat it, so I don't have to worry about it. But mostly it's just like protein, vegetable. I don't eat a lot of fish. I try to eat a lot of fish, chicken, stuff like that, and veggies galore. And we have great veggies here in California. I mean, I am blessed. I'm in whatever is the opposite of a food desert. I'm in a food abundance of vegetables here. So I'm super lucky. It's all organic. It's amazing here. When I go anywhere else, I'm like, this is bullshit. You should be embarrassed, grocery store. This is terrible. So I do think that's one of the greatest things about living in Marin County, California, is that 90% of our land is either agriculture or it's national or state park. So it's pretty amazing to live here. But you can find vegetables everywhere. It's just getting them.
Right, right. I think also too, I think we're so fortunate, just like you said, to have variety. Have you ever had any issues with like stomach, as we get older, the digestive
Yeah.
enzymes in our gut, starts to diminish. And a lot of women don't even realize that. And if I'm like, I always take digestive bitters,
I love
HCl,
bitters.
digestive enzymes, 10, 15 minutes before I eat. And people are asking me why. I'm like, well, as the older we get, I said, your stomach's not producing enough digestive enzymes or
Hmm.
HCl, and then
Hmm.
your all that food just sits in your colon and ferments, and then all of a sudden you're gassy and you're bloated and you can't understand why.
Hmm.
So have you ever had issues like that or
Yeah, the yogurt that I eat now, it really helps a lot. It's made my gut better. I also like in the morning to take a heaping tablespoon of chia seeds and run the hot water in my sink and put it in the glass and mix it up and squeeze in like like an eighth of like an organic Meyer lemon. So I squeeze lemon juice into it. I drink that. And then I take a gut shot. There's this thing I buy at the grocery store. It's kind of like pickle juice. It's like sauerkraut juice. It's the one I like is beet and sauerkraut, beet and kraut juice. And it's just a shot. You just take a shot glass in the morning of that kraut juice. And then I also take this thing called Cocoa Cult. You just take a tablespoon of this yogurt. It's a coconut yogurt, but it has 16 different probiotics in it. So between all these different types of probiotics that I'm taking, I'm constantly feeding my gut with good bacteria. I drink a lot of booches, not the sugary kinds, the ones with no sugar in them. So I drink a lot of booches. I drink a lot of green drinks. I'm lazy. I don't make my own. I spend $9 on a big bottle of homemade, fresh made green juice from my local Good Earth store a couple
yeah,
times a week. It's one of my indulgences. I mean, frankly, it's cheaper than the wine, a glass of wine you're going to order at a bar, and you get to drink a whole bottle of green juice. So it's
yeah,
it's it's an easy justify for me.
that's
I
true.
really like that. So yeah, I do a lot. I am basically taking care of my gut every day. Every day, I'm doing things to take care of my gut.
It makes a dramatic difference, especially with skin, because
Yeah.
I'm really kind of shocked. You have gorgeous, gorgeous skin.
Oh, good.
And really take good care of my skin. I make that a priority for me. And sometimes I look at the mirror and I'm just kind of amazed. I'm like, what? Because when you're in your 20s and 30s and you think back about your aunts and uncles who were in their 60s, they didn't look like us.
No.
They always wore dresses. They didn't go out running around playing, working out, biking or hiking or doing whatever. Didn't take, really good care of their skin. So I
Hmm.
really love the fact that, not only are you all this basis between your diet and exercising and really taking good care of your overall health
Yeah.
is spilling into your sexual health.
Hmm.
Because if you don't feel good, then you don't want to have sex, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Sex makes you want more sex. Sex makes you feel better. Sex will help you exercise. Exercise will help you want sex. Exercise will make you feel better. It's all the same. It's just two sides of the same coin.
Right.
It really is. I also like to get 90 plus sleep scores. I don't wear my Oura ring around on the day, but at night I am a competitive sleeper. Competitive with myself. I think that's really important. I also do Vasper and ARX. I go to a longevity center and I do the Vasper, which is like a high intensity interval bike, exer bikey kind of thing that uses blood flow restriction.
Oh, I love blood restriction.
And I have Katsu bands, and I wear the Katsu bands when I'm working at my desk every day. I do 3 cycles with the Katsus on my arms and my legs, and then I make my husband do it because I have to work a lot. I do sit at my desk a lot. I also ride my mountain bike. I really like that. I got an electric bike about 5 years ago, and I live on a beautiful mountain, and so I know I can get up to the top and back and not be exhausted. And I like the assist of the electric bike.
Right.
And I loved it so much that I also bought an electric street bike. And it's not the kind of bike where it does it all. I'm pedaling. It's just assisting my pedaling.
Hmm.
So I just love that. I get my groceries on it. I can bring home like 40 pounds of groceries on my in my giant panniers on my bike. Last summer, I did not even get in my car for so long that when I got in it, I was like, shit, how do I even drive? Where do I turn it on? How do I take the emergency brake off? Like I just did, I don't even go in it anymore.
That's
So
funny.
all those things have really paid off for me, and I really love them. I wanted to say one more thing about skincare. I just wrote an article about this that you might find interesting. Um, I write a newsletter on Substack. It's called Longevity Wins, and I write about katsu bands and lactobacillus reuteri yogurt and what I'm about to tell you, which is barrier cream. Um, every year I go to this conference, which you might like to go to. I don't know if have you gone to the A4M longevity conference?
No.
Okay, it's in Vegas in December, and it's mostly MDs. It's like a doctor's conference where they focus on the next generation of longevity. And so I really love it. And I listened to a wonderful man named Dr. Carl Thornfelt speak on why retinoids are no longer the thing. They're a thing, but they're not the thing. And that barrier creams are really what we need to be using. And what he basically explained was that we need to put a cover on our skin to hold the moisture in.
Hmm.
That what happens is that we take our showers and we use our soaps and we shave and we do all these things and they strip away the surface barrier off our skin. And that and photo damage are what are really generating the wrinkles and the damage. And
Interesting.
that if we use our sunblock, because I love to go, I told you before we pressed record, I was like, after this, I was telling you I wanted you to come over and lie out in the sun with me this afternoon because I'm just going to flop out there and drink some wines. Would be so much fun if you could come over today. But you're in Scottsdale and I'm in Marin, so you can't. But it would have been it was my fantasy that we could hang out today. And so he's like, yes, use your sunblock for the sun damage, but then use your barrier creams. And it was funny because when I got that really bad COVID exposure, one of the things that happened was it ruined my skin. My skin, I would stand outside out back of my house with a dry brush, and my skin would fly off me. It
Mhm.
wrinkled and shriveled up, and it looked terrible. It aged me a decade in a year. And I didn't know if I would ever get it back. And so I started doing the stem cells, and that really rejuvenated my skin. But I also started slathering my skin with mother butter. I liked that natural butter and, trying to get emolliency back into my skin. And I upped my omegas and, my fatty acids as well. But it was slowly returning, slowly looking better. And then I heard Carl talk about the skin barrier concept. Now, there are companies like CeraVe, CeraVue. It's a drugstore brand.
Oh,
That's a
Sarah.
CeraVe.
Yeah.
That's a brand that does the barrier things. And there's three components to the barrier things. I don't remember what they all are. I just wrote about it. I'm a little tired today. I had a long week. One of them is there's some essential fatty acids. There's something that's like a coating, like a film, and there's one other thing. But they make it. That's like the drugstore brand. There's Young Goose. They make some really nice barrier serums. And Epionce, that's Carl's company, Epionce. And I really like those products. And it's funny because he basically said in the presentation, he's like, you can put all the grease you want on your skin. It's not a lack of moisture in your skin that you can topically fix. You have to close up the barrier so that the skin health comes from the inside out. You've got to close that up so you're not leaking all of the moisture out of your body. And when I bought the Epionce body lotion and the face cream just to see, all right, Carl, I'll give it a try. It makes sense. And I'm like, shit, my skin looks 1 million times better after a month of using that. That
Wow.
was what was missing. So I feel like that's like a major, major breakthrough, just like blood flow restriction or high intensity interval training or repopulating your microbiome with Lactobacillus reuteri. Like this shit is for real.
Hmm.
It works. And I've done a lot of things that don't work. I have done a lot of things and written about them too, things I would not recommend. So, like vaginal lasers and RF devices, those do not work. Like homeo blocks, those did not work for me. There were different things that I tried that didn't, because I'm an experimenter.
I love all this. And I think what's really amazing too, you're like me, you're very proactive in leading and living your life.
Mhm.
A lot of people aren't. And when they are diagnosed with something or something starts to happen, they're going to run to their conventional doctor. And, I don't think you know this. I have leukemia.
I didn't know that.
I've had it for 11 years now. Knock on
God.
wood, no treatment. I'm still in stage 0. So
Oh
I
my
feel
God.
very, very fortunate. I think it's just my good, healthy lifestyle and positive mindset, along the way. So, but I really truly believe that, things have happened along the way, but as soon as something happens, I'm on it and I'm going to
Yeah.
my homeopath. I'm doing research. I don't want to take an antibiotic. I don't want an endoscope going down my throat, and then all of a sudden they're going to be, issuing me all these, antibiotics are our worst enemy. And sometimes you need them, for health.
Yeah, I've had to take them, but then you got to take a lot of probiotics to
A
fix it.
lot, a lot.
Hmm.
You think about when we were young, all the antibiotics our parents gave us, and even when we were
Hmm.
in college and in your 20s, there's nothing about taking a Z pack, even if you had a cold. I'll just do a Z pack. So
Hmm.
a lot of that stuff. But I love women like you who are out there promoting good health through very practical homeopathic routes. And there are great resources out there. There's a plethora of resources out there. There's so many communities out there that, that we can help each other as women over 50 and everything, all the writing that you're doing, not only on your sexual health, but on your overall vitality, because
Energy. Yeah.
energy, everything. I mean, it just makes a huge difference. The smallest supplement or the smallest tweak in your
Hmm.
diet or using, like for example, we eat and we take advantage. We don't realize how important the liver is in
Yeah.
detox. And as we get older, once again, our bodies aren't producing enough bile. And then all of a sudden the liver gets so sludgy because there's all these toxins coming in and it can't properly dispose of. And then that's another way we get backed up, where you can start taking a liver supplement, TUDCA, milk thistle. I mean, things that
Hmm.
are going to help things move along, simple little things. Um, and I just love, like you, probably sharing my knowledge, especially at work. We're sitting on a jump seat flying over to, Madrid or somewhere,
Yeah.
and you're just talking and people are, I got this going on. Well, have you tried this? Have you tried that? So that's fun for me. But I love learning new things. I love going to these conferences. I love hearing people like you who are so motivated and so inspiring to listen to and, aspire to be. I interviewed a gal on my podcast 5 years ago, 85 years old, and she
Oh, good.
is the world champion pole vaulter.
Oh, wonderful.
And after I interviewed her, I was like, I always wanted to pole vault, and I'm going to start pole vaulting. And so I did. I started pole vaulting, and so it's just
Amazing.
like, yeah. So it's just like little things like that. But seeing women like you, take the stage by storm, literally at Can't Be More. I just think it's wonderful. I think it's, I love also too, you talked about even like myths about sexuality after 50. And, I mean, you set the record straight out there on that stage. And that's what I love. It was like a no nonsense in wording in English that we could all understand and relate to and take away with us all that valuable information. And the future of sexual health for aging women, I think, is gangbusters if they're listening to women like you.
Yeah, not the women who are saying, don't worry if you can't have an orgasm. I'm like, that it's time for whoever's saying that to retire now.
And little things like this, my audience probably doesn't even know this term, but our telomeres, which help
Hmm.
determine our longevity in life.
Yeah.
Sex is huge with that too. I mean, the more sex you have, that helps increase the length of our telomeres too.
Yes,
So
exactly.
little stuff like that too. Technology is coming along, AI, that's going to be influencing sexual health,
Mhm.
more research. So, I mean, overall, I'm thrilled to have, cross paths with you and
Me
have
too.
share all this knowledge. So is there any further thing? Well, let me ask you one question. I always like to ask this. What, as far as age is irrelevant, what is your definition of age is irrelevant?
Can I just say everything? Like, age is irrelevant in every way. It's whatever you do with your life. And I feel like it comes from energy, mitochondrial power. You have to have power, which includes needing to rest and recuperate, which is why I'm going to lay out in the sun this afternoon for a few minutes and just relax because we need to build our batteries. We need to keep our batteries charged.
Yes.
That's why age is irrelevant, because you can keep your batteries charged if you do these kinds of things we've been talking about.
That's true. That's true. And one final question. What's one piece of advice that you would give to every woman over 50 to feel empowered in her sexuality?
Listen to your yoni. She's always talking to you. She's got lips, literally. She just can't form words.
Yeah.
And when you listen to her, she knows a lot. Although I was just on a phone call this morning with a girlfriend of mine, and she said, I'm going to hire this agency to buy me some advertising on Facebook to help me fill my next course. And I said, okay, well, how do you know that you're not just going to waste your money? And she said, well, they guarantee me that they'll fill my course. And I said, okay, what if they just steal your money? Have you gotten any references from them? Have you talked to the references? And she said, well, my yoni's telling me this is the right thing to do. And I said, your yoni doesn't know shit about Facebook advertising. There's a time, literally, this is the conversation I just had with one of my girlfriends before you and I got on this podcast recording. I was like, your yoni doesn't know shit about Facebook ads. Recall the references. She's like, oh, okay. So take it from some of your younger women. She's in her mid 40s and she does listen to her yoni, but maybe just a little too much.
That's fantastic. That's great advice too. That's really, really great advice. Well, if people want to find you, you've written like over 34 books. I mean, you have so much valuable information, newsletter. How can people find you?
Yeah, it's at betterlover.com. You can find me there. You can sign up for my newsletter. And if you have any questions for me and you hit reply to any newsletter you get from me, I get back to you. I get all those emails. My care team doesn't. They come directly to me. So you can ask me privately anything that you want to, and you're welcome to do that. That's what makes me good at what I do, answering those questions for people. So yeah, I'm
Right.
here if you need me.
And are you on social media?
Oh yeah, by my name, Susan Bratton, all one word.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, Susan, this has been
Helen?
so fun.
So fun.
Thank
You're the
you so
best
much.
and beautiful and gorgeous and amazing. And
Oh,
again, thank you for that intro. That was a very lovely gift.
oh, well, you deserve it all. I mean, you're just like at the top of my list now. And I'm a big person. I love going to these biohacking conferences. I went to a great one in Austin last year. It was fantastic too. But to me, that's just so much fun. And I will be looking for you. So,
Good.
do you advertise where you're at in your newsletter and stuff like that?
Yeah, I advertise that on susanbratton.com. The next thing I'm going to is Health Span Summit. I'll be speaking there. That's in LA in October. I may be speaking at the Mindshare Summit in September in Scottsdale. You should come to that Mindshare Summit. I'll let
Oh,
you know about it.
yeah, that might be fun.
Yeah, I
Sure.
think you'd really enjoy that group.
Okay. Well, have a wonderful time in the
Thank you.
sun and have some Prosecco or a little glass of Chardonnay for
Or
me
some kombucha.
or some kombucha.
Thanks, Helen.
All right, take care. I sure hope you enjoyed that conversation with Susan. That was so much fun, so enlightening, and so much valuable information. And here are some takeaways. Number one, your libido isn't lost, it's just asleep, and you can wake it up. Susan shares how hormonal shifts, stress, and even shame can dim desire, but that doesn't mean it's gone. With natural biohacks, supplementation, and personalized pleasure practices, you can reignite your desire and reconnect to your sensual self. It's not about fixing anything, it's about rediscovering what turns you on now. Number two, aging body's deeper pleasure. Susan debunks the myth that great sex ends with menopause. In fact, she reveals how post-50 intimacy can even be more satisfying thanks to better communication, confidence, and techniques designed specifically for mature anatomy. Think regenerative treatments, vaginal rejuvenation options, and positions that prioritize comfort and connection. Number 3, you deserve a sex life worth having. Now, too many women settle. Susan encourages listeners to redefine pleasure on their own terms. Whether you're single, married, or dating again, she offers tools to speak up for what you want without shame, awkwardness, or apology. Owning your desire is the new sexy. And number 4, the biohacked bedroom, now your new best friend. From nitric oxide boosters to oxytocin sprays and libido-enhancing peptides, Susan introduces cutting-edge tools that support sexuality, vitality, very naturally. And these aren't gimmicks. They're part of a longevity lifestyle that boosts energy, improves intimacy, and helps you feel vibrant and sexy well into your 60s, 70s, and beyond. If you'd like to find Susan, you can find her at betterlover.com. She's also at susanbratton.com. That's Bratton. She's written over 40 books, so she'll be on Amazon if you want to check out any of her books. And you can also find her on social media at Susan Bratton, and that's all one word, SusanBratton. And you can find me at helen@ageisirrelevant.com or on social media at helenfritch_IFBB Pro. Thank you again for listening to this really fun conversation. I hope you took some great notes, and I hope you start practicing what you heard. Have any questions, shoot an email to Susan. Like she said, she'll get back to you ASAP. And until next time, age truly is irrelevant. Bye-bye.